How you guys doing? Welcome once again to Shadow at Night. It is Thursday, January the 23rd, 2025. Our special guest on the show tonight. It's been 2 years at least since we've had him on. I went back and checked today through all the old videos, and yeah, it's about 2 years since Lieutenant Stephen Rogers has appeared on this show. He's been busy these last couple of years with the Trump campaign and whatnot. We get a chance to catch up with him tonight. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes. As always, the Shadow at Night live stream is brought to you by CanadaNanoSilver.com.
Crest toothpaste to SilverSeuticals toothpaste. First, we're starting out with Crest. It's a classic, it's an original. It's what I've used most of my life. But that being said, it does have its problems. First off, the consistency is so weird and thick, and I get it's a paste, but it really doesn't spread that well. And I must also say that I'm not in love with the taste. I get toothpaste isn't supposed to taste good, but why shouldn't it? But that being said, it does get the job done. Next, we have SilverSeuticals. They have 3 flavors, but today we're going with Bubbleberry. And already it smells so good. So I'm excited to see what this tastes like. The consistency is also a lot smoother, and I must say it spreads way nicer in your mouth.
This literally tastes like fruit bubblegum.
Yeah, this toothpaste was pretty good. I actually went in for seconds, and it's infused with nano silver, so it helps remineralize your teeth and keep them fresh throughout the day.
100% go with SilverSeuticals.
And here's the results. What's your favorite toothpaste?
He brushed his teeth twice, for goodness sakes. CanadaNanoSilver.com. That's CanadaNanoSilver.com. 204-808-9292. Get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the contact tab on the website, or you can call them. They're in Mexico, but you can still call them. And if you want to be a retailer, get a hold of them as well. Or if you're looking for a retail location for these awesome products, click the retail locations tab on the website. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.com. All right, Jeff Stone from Tacit Investigations and Security is watching the show tonight. He says, good evening, Shadow Nighthawks, and all you fringe minority freedom-loving patriots unite with red and white 2024. Jeff Stone, all rights reserved, baby. Kathy is watching from New Brunswick. Hello, Kathy. Wayne and Patty are watching from Norwich, Ontario on X tonight. Lana's watching in Caribou, British Columbia. Karen, hello, in Grand Beach. Barb is watching in southern Manitoba somewhere. Gloria is watching in Medicine Hat. Barbara is in Glenora. Roseanne, Barbara in Winnipeg. Tracy is watching in Black Falls, Alberta. Hello, John, watching in Angusville. Ron's watching in Wynyard, Saskatchewan. Carol is watching tonight. Glow in Winnipeg. Carol's watching. SOS Canada. A lot of people are asking me to ask the lieutenant, hey, what happened with the SOS letters we were writing? Yeah, we will. Of course we will. Debbie is watching from Kipling, Saskatchewan. Over on Rumble. I haven't forgotten you guys. Rumble. Jasmine Cat. Dog Park Lady. Chicken Hair. Patricia 0711. Grease Goon is watching in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia. Hello, Nana Sue and Riznan 3PR and Adela in Edmonton. MBP 113 is watching in Delhi, Ontario. Wherever you're watching the show tonight from, you guys, wherever it happens to be, on whatever platform you are watching the show on, do not forget to like and share. Get this out to as many people as you possibly can. We're going to hear a lot of good stuff tonight from the LT himself. He's coming on in just a couple of minutes. I want to throw this out at you guys right now. Donald Trump, the president, addressed the World Economic Forum today. Larry Fink, not too happy about that. Rebel News tracked him down in Davos today. Not the president, but Larry Fink, and he wouldn't answer any questions, obviously, but he didn't hesitate to take Ezra Levant's picture, and Avi Yemeni for that matter. It's funny video. We'll play it for you later on in the show. But here's Donald Trump speaking to the World Economic Forum earlier today.
Administration is acting with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters we've inherited from a totally inept group of people and to solve every single crisis facing our country. This begins with confronting the economic chaos caused by the failed policies of the last administration. Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before. The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went through the roof. President Biden totally lost control of what was going on in our country, but in particular with our high inflation economy and at our border. Because of these ruinous policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. And these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country. You have to hear that word, merit-based country. And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely.
Well. You know, LT, by the way, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. It's good to have you back, my friend. How you been?
Well, it's a pleasure to be back, and it's a pleasure to have an opportunity to address the Canadian people and to let them know that what happened here in America is going to happen right there.
Oh, I hope so, because I have to tell you that we're still suffering with these ridiculous DEI policies in corporations and government, provincial and federal. We're suffering with them on municipal levels. If a city councilor in whatever city he or she happens to be elected in says something untoward, like a man can't be a woman, they get attacked by the local media. Still, is it like that in the United States as well?
Yes, even though we won and they lost, they're still at it, Shadow, but that's okay.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
They're still at it. Every day, every night, they're still at it, attacking President Trump, attacking those of us who are conservatives. But we have the power now. And we're going to be focusing our attention on getting rid of DEI, which you know that Donald Trump did do that. It's out of the military now. It's coming out of the schools. He fired, I think, 2,000 people already in the government, and a lot more are going. But my message to the Canadian people, it's very important. What you did over this 2-year period was very significant. You didn't resort to violence. You kept on praying. You kept on showing up at some rallies. You kept on talking with each other and working with each other. And about the mail, the thousands of letters we got, I know people are chomping at the bit to find out what happened.
Yeah.
Those letters had a profound effect on we being able, our group and the team we put together, and there were a lot of us around the country after a 2-year period, a profound effect on giving a lot of the American people some strong public awareness as to what was going on in Canada. Because when the question would arise, well, maybe it's just a small group of citizens in Canada? No. Maybe it's just a few dozen? No. How about thousands? And we had the evidence. So those letters got into the hands of our lawmakers, United States Congress, United States Senate, state legislatures, got into the hands of a lot of Republicans, perhaps thousands now, across this country, so they could show them and hand them to people at their meetings. So that's why I said, just put SOS on there. And Shadow, the reason why I just wanted SOS and not a letter was that it spurred a question. What in the world does SOS mean? And boy, did that open up the doors. So it had a lot of effect. And here we are today. And look at the story with Canada has not ended. This is just the beginning, because you're now going to have a very strong ally south of you who will do what we can to help you get the word out, just like we got the word out and continue to get the word out in communist China and those countries that are not our allies, certainly our enemies. But you're not an enemy. In fact, you're one of us.
Yeah, well, we're pretty much the same. I would suggest, and there's a lot of people wringing their hands in the last few weeks, LT, up here in Canada, ever since President Trump started making noise about maybe making Canada the 51st state and calling Trudeau governor. Not that we care about Trudeau up here. We don't. I mean, he's on his way out. He says it's his intention to resign. He hasn't resigned yet, but he says it's his intention to do that. But people are kind of going, I think I have more in common if you live in Alberta with somebody from Montana or maybe North Dakota or even Washington State than I do with somebody who lives in Ontario or Quebec, right? So it's more of a vertical relationship as opposed to a horizontal relationship, north-south versus east-west, it seems like. Let me ask you, is Trump serious about this?
Well, I've got to tell you, I believe he is, and I could tell you the American people are serious about this. Now, there hasn't been much discussion in the media about this because we've been obviously distracted with an election, and we're beginning to really get our government back into the hands of the people. But here's what we, and when I say we, the people of Canada have successfully done, and you haven't heard this, or you're going to hear it from me now, and what we as friends and allies of the people in Canada, the fear here was that Canada was being turned into a communist country. And I'm not exaggerating because there was enough evidence that was put together by the people in your country and that we did gather over a period of time that what Nikita Khrushchev back in the 60s, Shadow, said with regard to America, and certainly it would apply to Canada, was that we don't have to fire one shot, right? The communists don't have to fire one shot in order to enslave the people of the United States, and in your case, Canada. And what he said was startling. He said, look, they're going to go to sleep, whether it be Americans or Canadians, every night. Drip, 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 drip. And each drip represented a little dose of socialism. And Khrushchev said, and one day they're going to wake up in the morning and find out that now they live under communism. And that was a concern here. And it was a concern here not only for Canada, but for us under the Biden administration. So there was a strong concern. We got that message across to a lot of our lawmakers. And as time goes on, you might be hearing a lot more going on. What Trump did, he's a brilliant deal maker. What Trump did, he began the conversation about Canada becoming a 51st state. But there was another message, I believe, behind that. And it was the message we all tried to get out, that there is a serious problem regarding Canada in taking away the freedoms of the people away, their individual rights away. And what Trudeau did, in my view, was he was the guy with the eyedropper, drip, drip, drip. Well, that's going away, obviously.
That's interesting that you say that. I hadn't thought of it quite like that before. But his request to us, President Trump's request, was just tighten up your border. We got too much fentanyl coming over. We've got all of these illegals coming over, and they're not great illegals either. I mean, we used to take in the best of the best, Canada and the United States, with our great immigration systems. And in the past 4 years, they've been flooding over our borders. Your southern border, our southern border, as a matter of fact. We've had an open border in Quebec with Vermont, maybe Maine, for the last 6 or 7 years with Justin Trudeau. They've just been coming through Roxham Road, and nobody has said a thing up until the last couple of weeks. In my province here, all of a sudden, there's a Black Hawk helicopter monitoring the Manitoba-North Dakota border. Isn't that interesting?
Well, yeah. And again, the result of the Canadian people working very hard to get the word out. And in between these 2 years, another thing your citizens may not know, because of the way the information was getting out, and believe me, it wasn't just me, folks. It was a lot of people involved. I have spoken to a lot of Canadians and one or two pretty close to your government about issues, and without breaking our laws or your laws. I always put that in there because you'll have all the left people going crazy over what's he doing, negotiating with a foreign country. Well, the fact of the matter is that there was a lot of information warfare going on. And what we had to do, Shadow, was do the best we could to eliminate and delete, if you will, the disinformation, the bad information, the information that would work on people's emotions so that they would simply lose it. But the Canadian people, as the American people, didn't fall into that trap. And what you saw happen in America, believe me, the restoration of our freedoms and our liberties and the Constitution of the United States, you're going to see that happen there. And remember, folks, what I shared with you, be patient, because we do have one powerful thing that they don't have. And you know how I feel about this, and that is Christ. That is the Lord thy God. And Shadow, I'm sure you've monitored the inauguration here and the victory speeches. Every speaker prayed and every speaker gave God the glory. That's what we've got to do. We've got to stay close to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And believe me, everything's going to be fine. Just have patience, put our faith to work within the framework of your laws. You win, they lose.
People are losing their minds up here. Well, some people are anyway, LT. I mean, you've got Kevin O'Leary. You know Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, obviously. He's a millionaire investor, and he's also a Canadian. He's been down there negotiating with Donald Trump kind of on our behalf. He also introduced the Alberta Premier Danielle Smith to the president. I believe it was the weekend before last, and then she was at his inauguration earlier this week, whereas Justin Trudeau has been sequestered with his cabinet at some retreat in Quebec, trying to make plans and forming this panel of premiers, calling it Team Canada, but excluding Premier Smith from this, even though she doesn't want to be involved with it anyway. And they're vilifying her up here as a traitor being on Team Trump. Do you think that President Trump takes Trudeau and his people seriously at all? And do you know anything about Premier Danielle Smith?
Yes, I do. Well, first of all, no one on the face of the earth, as far as I know, takes Justin Trudeau seriously anymore. He is he's a tiger without any teeth. He's got nowhere to go, and he knows he's going down. He knows he's going to lose the support he has in his country. And he's already lost support on the world stage. They just don't pay attention to him anymore. And look at the future is a Danielle Smith. The future is people who are looking for the preservation of the freedoms and liberties. This is what America is all about. We advance freedom and liberty all over the world. And my goodness, you're right across our border. You're our brothers and sisters. So we have to be there for you, and we will be there. I would say that the majority of Americans is beginning to understand what's happening there, and we have an obligation to you. Listen, we don't forget that Canadian soldiers, sailors, and airmen died side by side with Americans in the wars we fought, Vietnam, Iraq. So we've got a long history together, and Trudeau is not part of that history. When it comes to Danielle Smith, she was at Mar-a-Lago, she was in Florida. They did have conversations, and I believe that part of those conversations were, how can we help the Canadian people? How can we help the Canadians? How can the Canadians help us? Let's push Trudeau out of the way, and let's do it the right way.
Yeah. I mean, they're talking up here about dollar for dollar tariffs, LT. I mean, I can't even believe that Trudeau and some of these premiers, idiots, would float an idea like that, considering the American economy is $30 trillion and the Canadian economy is just slightly over $3 trillion. I mean, we would be done as a country inside of 6 months. It's a mathematical absolute.
Shadow, I believe Trudeau is trying to scare the living daylights out of your population. No one in his right mind would even suggest that, as you just articulated. But with regard to tariffs, the conversations are beginning to get other people to the table and to have a discussion. And a lot of this is about, let's get them to the table. And Donald Trump knows how to get people to the table because, frankly, he scares the living daylights out of him. He scares the living daylights out of those of us who support him sometimes. But we know how he operates. And you don't want to hurt Canada. And by the way, some of the tariffs may hurt us. So we're cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of information out there, disinformation, bad information, and it's what we see and hear that we are concerned about. But I'd say just hold on, folks. Just hold on. Everything is going to work out. It will. We may have a little bit of pain in the beginning, but it ain't going to last long, believe me.
Let me ask you this. What's your take on Jeff Bezos? Guys like Bezos, who seems to be falling in line with the president's new policies, and Mark Zuckerberg from Meta. I mean, these guys, they were absolutely against Trump for the last 4 years and censoring and doing whatever they could to keep Trump out of office. And now that he's there, they seem like, they're his best friends suddenly. What's that all about?
Well, they have no choice because with Biden there was no checks and balances. With Trump there, the people are in control. It's all about money, Shadow. They know that they could end up going out of business if they don't fall in line. But President Trump is not a fool. A leopard can't change its spots, they say. So I'm sure his eyes are open. Nothing wrong with bringing them to the table and embracing some of the policies that they can add value to Trump's agenda. But we're all well aware of these individuals. If the shoe was on the other foot and Biden came in, they'd be hugging him. So our eyes are open, our ears are open, but they have lost control, Shadow. They've lost control of what they wanted to do to this country. And now you either beat us or you join us. So they're playing it safe. They're joining us.
Interestingly, during that address that the president made to the World Economic Forum today, they were genuflecting. The entire audience, they say there was about 3,000 people in attendance. Trump wasn't even there. He zoomed it in. And I played the snippets of that address earlier in the show, as you saw. And the people who were asking him questions, I mean, he was getting applause. These people who have been trying to shape the world are now completely and totally with him. At least it seems that way. Are they just playing possum? I mean, like you say, it's not going to be easy. There's still going to be some fight left in those crazy left-wing freaks.
It's happening as we speak. I mean, CNN every day, and I've been on some broadcasts about them every day. They're hammering at Trump. MSNBC, conservative stations aren't, the people aren't. And the ratings, and this is important, the ratings of these left-wing media outlets are so far low, they're laying people off, and I suppose they'll be out of business by the end of the year. The fact is that those people jumping on board who, like you say, are now genuflecting, they have no choice. Another biblical scripture, the Lord said that he will bring our enemies on their knees before us. And that's why I always remind people that it's not just us. There's a spiritual war going on. It's been going on for a while. And what we did in America is decide, well, we've got to take them on, not only with the weapons of humanity, if you could, whether it be economic or militarily, but take them on spiritually. That's where the power of that prayer shadow came in. And your Canadian brothers and sisters are doing that. And like I say, you're going to find that the tide's going to turn rather quickly. And it did here. It turned overnight. And now with the president at the rapid rate that he's doing, what he's doing to bring the country back to the people, it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. I mean, yesterday we were watching video of the six prisoners being released. 1,500 people got released. He's working very quickly. President Trump is. Today, I think we got video. We're going to play a little bit later on in the show tonight of some of these mass deportees who are being picked up in large cities all across the United States. Are you surprised at the speed Trump is working with here? Because last time it took him a while to get going.
Yeah, well, yeah, a little surprised, but apparently he had this all planned and ready to go. And what we are surprised about and support it is that he's sending U.S. military troops on the Mexican border. And a great strategy on his part. The drug cartels is operating down there, and he classified the drug cartels as terrorist organizations, which will allow our military to get involved because now they're a national security threat. The next question is, what is the president of Mexico going to do if we end up in a ground battle with the cartel there? So I'm sure that discussion is taking place day in and day out, and we'll see where it goes. But you're not going to see much activity down there crossing our border within the next 24 to 48 hours, I would say.
We saw some video of that with the army standing there in a very menacing looking line, very intimidating line. I thought, oh yeah, okay. So do these drug cartels actually have the nuts, do you think, to try and take on the military, the U.S. military?
Well, that's a good question. I would hope that they don't, because if they try, there's going to be a lot of loss of life, and it'll be on their side. So they're probably wondering, how are they going to fulfill their trade? They're going to lose a lot of money. They're going to just lose their economy down there. And I'm talking about the cartel. So if they're crazy enough to challenge the U.S. military, well, I got news for them. They're going to meet Black Hawk helicopters, maybe some fighter jets, as well as the United States Marines. So their business is coming to an end.
Lieutenant, I'm not sure how involved you were with the campaign, with the Trump campaign, and meeting all the folks and maybe heading down to Mar-a-Lago. Have you had a chance to spend any time with Elon Musk or VP Vance at all?
Not at all. I had a heck of a lot of time with many of the people who he appointed to his cabinet and to offices like the Department of Justice. So a lot of discussions, a lot of talk. And it was a thrill to see some of the friends that I appeared with on Fox News, for example, and Newsmax, get those cabinet positions. And they're good people, they're honest people. And as you know, the Democrats tried to derail them before these subcommittees when they were being confirmed, but none of that worked. But I've got to tell you, it was a great team effort. And it started right here in grassroots America, Main Street USA, the soccer moms, the plumbers, the carpenters, people came together. But this is just the beginning of the fight, because believe it or not, even today, I was on one of the media outlets discussing a sheriff in I believe it was near Las Vegas, made it clear that his sheriffs, his law enforcement officers will not help the federal government round up some of these violent offenders, these illegal immigrants. And so my suggestion and other suggestions to the Trump administration, go arrest the sheriff. Go and lock them up. They are violating the law in our view. And the law is that they are aiding and abetting in harboring fugitives from justice. And that you might see happen. That's going to end up in the Supreme Court. And it'll be interested to see where we go from there. But it's going to happen.
Yeah, it seems a little bit extreme, maybe. No, I mean, does Tom Homan have that kind of authority to be able to go in? Because he's said on news, I've seen him say, "Well, just try me," you know.
You know what was extreme? Shadow. You know what was extreme? Going after conservatives, PTA parents at high schools and schools. What was extreme? Going after good people in this country. Well, now the shoe's on the other foot. So it's not extreme. This is what we elected this government to do, to go after the enemies. And I'm not saying that every person opposed to us is an enemy. I dare not say that. But those people who went after our freedoms and rights, well, you know what? They sealed the deal, and now they're going to suffer the consequences.
Do you see the J6 committee? And, well, I guess, no, they've been pardoned now. But that may not stop them from an investigation through Congress. And the same goes for Anthony Fauci. I'm not sure if they're completely and totally immune from prosecution. Are they? Is that how that works down there? Presidential pardon?
No, I would say the question that remains to be answered is, how do you pardon someone that didn't commit a crime, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that's a question the courts are going to have to decide. But certainly they can't stop the investigations. I mean, just because you can't lock a person up for what they did, but it would certainly be rather revealing what we will see released from these investigations. But look at Joe Biden pardoned people that didn't commit a crime. So that to me shows they were guilty of something.
Absolutely. I mean, how can you know, like I wouldn't have taken the pardon for goodness sakes. I mean, now I'm guilty. Like everybody looks at me and goes, "You're guilty. You're a criminal. You got pardoned." I didn't do anything. Wow, that's crazy. Look, I saw you on Fox News back in December. I think it was just before Christmas. Maybe it was early this year. Anyway, you're in New Jersey, and over the Eastern Seaboard for about a month, there were these things.
Yes, the drones. The
in
drones.
Well, were they drones? What were they? I don't even know what they were, and nobody wants to talk about it. So what's your take on it? Did you see any of them?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I did see a couple of them. But my take on this whole story, this is another area where disinformation comes, and you even got lawmakers. We have a lawmaker in New Jersey who I like, but he's a little off base, you know, alleging an Iranian mothership is off the coast of New Jersey launching the drones.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, I believe, and we're going to find out soon enough what this was all about, but I believe it was the United States government that was testing some aerial platforms for whatever reason. And of course, we don't know to this point if that's a fact, but I noticed that Thanksgiving Day, there were no drones. Why? It's a holiday, right? Think about that. Think about that. So you've got contractors out there working with the government to do what we want them to do, is to defend us. But the government refused to release it for some reason, but we're going to find out soon. Don't forget, Donald Trump doesn't live far from me in Bedminster, New Jersey, and he had drones over his house. So he'll release the information, and then we're going to find out. And you know what? I believe our government, nothing wrong, nothing bad. They just kind of think, well, why alarm the people? We've been through enough. We're not going to be alarmed over drones.
Are you kidding me?
Hey, Shadow, I don't even care if they came from Mars. I'm not going to be alarmed.
You know what got me the most about this? We're watching these things, and I'm watching video of these drones or whatever they were, and they're traveling at this miraculous speed, doing hard 90-degree turns, and I thought, there's no way that is an aircraft made on this earth. Yeah. It's got to be something else. And then you see a close-up of some of these things on video and in still pictures, and you're going, that doesn't look like it should be able to fly.
Right.
Like, what the hell is going on? And you saw it yourself.
Yeah, I saw it too. Look, I know people even here in New Jersey. They bought drones just to fly our drones, their personal drones, to chase those drones. I mean, it was going crazy. But at the end of the day, it disappeared. Right? The whole drone story's gone. Where did they go? Where did they go?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Still, I don't know what to think about that. Do you see this as the golden age? Because that's what the president said yesterday. Is this the dawning of the golden age?
Yes, it is. It's a dawning of the golden age, not only for America, but for every freedom-loving country. There's going to be a domino effect. I really believe there's going to be a domino effect. And the left and the communists and the socialists are going to fall one by one. And that's why I include Canada in this. That domino effect will travel north, and it may travel south in due time. But the people of Canada are way ahead of the game here. They've been fighting for their individual rights and freedoms and liberties for a long time. And a little longer than us, but just keep an eye on the ball. And Shadow, I can't say enough for people to delete and get rid of all that disinformation, that bad information. Make decisions based on facts and stay away from anybody who even thinks about using any type of violence. You don't want to go down that road. You have laws in your country like we do, and I know a lot of people have told me, well, everything's corrupt. Everything was corrupt here, but you stay together, you pray together. Use your head as well as your heart, as you have been. And you know what? We're going to be doing this together real soon. You like that? I still got this.
LT, let me ask you, is the president aware of Pierre Poilievre, who is probably going to be the next prime minister of Canada? He keeps talking about Wayne Gretzky all the time. I don't think Gretz is interested in it, but I mean, the next PM is going to be Pierre Poilievre. Does he even know the name?
Yes, he knows everything. He knows every world leader, every upcoming world leader. He's a smart guy. He's really knowledgeable on a lot of world affairs, and the people around him are very smart people now. So nothing is going to get past him. He's going to keep an eye on that election, as we all are, and we can't interfere. We dare not interfere with the election of any country. But here in America, we could spread the news, and we could let the people in this country know, look, if you've got relatives in Canada, you might want to share some of this stuff with them. But I've said all along, and this is important for people in any country to know, this is going to be up to the Canadian people, just like it was up to the American people, to make significant changes in their government. Don't give up. They want you to give up. They want to wear you out. And like I said earlier, drip, drip, drip. They're going to drop every little drop of socialism over a long period of time, as they have, until you wake up one morning and surrender and find yourself in a communist country. It's going to work in the opposite. You're going to drip, drip, drip freedom and liberty. And you're going to drip, drip, drip individual rights. And they're going to find themselves waking up to a different country. You're going to find a country that is free.
A couple days ago, and this is something that's sticking in the craw of a lot of people here. The president did a press conference with a few billionaires, and they were talking about this new mRNA cancer vaccine, AI mRNA cancer vaccine. And Larry Ellison was one of the guys who was speaking with Oracle, who's worth $216.9 billion. And people were freaking out. Like, what are they doing with more of these vaccines? I mean, that was one of the huge battles of the last 4 years.
Well, I believe that there's another story behind this, and we'll find out. With Robert F. Kennedy now, soon to be in total control of the Department of Health, I think you're going to see another story come out of that. So what we see on the surface, and I always say it's the beginning of another conversation. It could be the beginning, for example, of the government of the United States making sure that they will take control of this with regard to how, when, and where all of that is given birth as a result of this program in the future. Because we went through hell like you did with COVID-19, and Fauci's going to be held responsible as well as other people. So we ain't going to allow that to happen again. And the movement in this country is to reduce the number of vaccines, not increase them. So always remember, I remember a superintendent of a local school district said to me when I got elected to office, he said, just remember there, Steve, remember there's always a story behind the story. And he was absolutely right.
Yeah, that is true. Are you resuming your nightly broadcasts anytime soon? Because people have been saying, I've been watching his Facebook page. I haven't seen a whole bunch from the lieutenant. What's going on with your broadcast? You're bringing it back?
Here's what's happened. From time to time, I will, but I'm very involved now with a few things. We have launched, and I shared with some of your citizens, and you'll be able to get this. Remember I said we're going to start Radio Free Canada? Well, yes. The Lord found a way. We've launched a program. It's on AmericaOutloud.news, and we can be heard on iHeartRadio and major radio stations around not only this country, but now around the world. 9 o'clock every morning, Monday through Friday, live, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So we've already started, and anybody who wants to tune in, just go to AmericaOutloud.news and look for me, and it's free. I mean, it's free radio. So
are you sharing that on your social media?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got it out there. In addition to that, like I say, from time to time, I will be coming on the social media platforms like Facebook, etc. But I'm very involved now with doing certain things with regard to our government and where we're headed. And I'm very happy that I'm in a position now to have a lot of influence on our national defense. So it's just a matter of time. We can't spread everywhere. But to know this, though, I haven't forgotten the Canadian people. No one in this country who has been working so hard for 2 years has forgotten you. Why? Because we don't want across our border communism. We don't want it here. So we're not going to let that happen. And you know why we're not going to let it happen? Because you're not going to let it happen. So we continue to have the conversation, support each other, pray for each other. And yeah, we'll be on the air from time to time. But the important thing is that you got a strong ally across the border. And we know we have a strong ally in the people across our border.
Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, thank you for joining the show tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on, and hopefully we don't have to wait 2 years to have you back, my friend.
Oh, no, you call me anytime, and God bless you all, and we'll see you. We'll see you again. And just remember, let freedom ring. Remember that channel? Let freedom ring.
Absolutely.
God bless you all.
Talk to you again soon,
Thank
LT.
you. Bye-bye.
All right. There is Lieutenant Steve Rogers. Been a couple years since we've had him on the show, and it's really cool to have him back. I was talking earlier about the U.S. deportation. Remember Trump saying mass deportations, mass deportations. Well, it started today. Here's a Fox News report. Check it out.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person.
I don't know what to think. I mean, the LT, it's great to have the LT on talking about what Trump is doing and how it's going to be a great union between our two countries and all that. And I really like him. He's a good guy. And he's, But what is Trump doing? Remember the other day I was talking about that mRNA cancer vaccine AI thing that he made a big deal of, and he had Larry Ellison, who used to be the CEO. Now he's the chairman of the board and the chief technical officer of Oracle, making the announcement. It was $500 billion, and a couple of sheiks from Saudi Arabia, I believe, as well are involved in this. Big, huge investment. It's $500 billion, right? And then I got to thinking, who is this Larry Ellison guy? I know the name, and I know that he's been involved with the World Economic Forum in the past. And I thought, why is Trump working with this guy? Having watched Trump's address and his, answers to the questions that were posed to him today at the World Economic Forum, it seems like he's firmly in control. It does. But what is the real agenda? This is Larry Ellison just this past summer talking about AI surveillance, and it's very chilling. Watch this. Let me put it on the stage first. Here.
Securing schools. We think we can absolutely lock down schools so that dramatically reduce the case of anyone being on campus that doesn't belong on campus. And immediately alert, the second someone pulls out a gun, immediately alert, use AI cameras to immediately recognize that. But A, we keep everyone off campus that doesn't belong on campus. The police, another thing, body cameras. We completely redesigned body cameras. Our body cameras cost $70. Normal body camera costs, I don't know, $7,000. Our body cameras are simply lenses, two lenses attached to your vest, attached to the smartphone that you're wearing. And we actually take the video that the police officer is, by the way, and the camera's always on. You don't turn it on and off. And by the way, the way you turn it on you can't turn it on. I'm going to the bathroom. Oracle, I need 2 minutes to take a bathroom break, and we'll turn it off. The truth is, we don't really turn it off. What we do is we record it so no one can see it, but no one can get into that recording without a court order. So you get the privacy you requested, but a court order, if you get a court order, we will, judge, can order, I want to look at that, this so-called bathroom.
Yeah. So you need a court order until you don't, right, Larry?
Break. If something comes up, and plus I'm going to lunch with my friends. Oracle, I need an hour for privacy with lunch with my friends. God bless. We won't listen in unless there's a court order. But it's interesting. But we transmit the video back to headquarters. So headquarters and AI is constantly monitoring the video. Remember this terrible case in Memphis where the 5 police officers basically beat to death another citizen in Memphis? Well, that can't happen because it would be on TV at headquarters. Everyone would see it. Your body cams will be transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
What?
Anyone being on campus that doesn't belong on campus, and immediately alert the second someone pulls.
No, I went too far back. Let's just go right to the end of this here where he says citizens.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
And this is the guy, by the way, again, he's worth $216.9 billion to Donald Trump's $5.7 billion, according to Fortune. This is the guy he wants to do business with? This is the guy he wants to... That's chilling to me. Citizens will be on their best behavior. He wants cameras everywhere. He wants us monitored 24/7, but only if you have a court order can we see your bathroom break. What? That's crazy. I don't like this guy being anywhere near power at all. Spanish PM Pedro Sanchez. Let's throw him up on the screen here. World Economic Forum. He spoke there today, and this guy's a former member of the Spanish Congress of Deputies from Madrid, Spanish politician since 2014, the Secretary General of the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party. He won the prime ministership of Spain with 49% of the vote, representing a platform based on political regeneration, blah, blah, blah. World Economic Forum flunky. I couldn't find anything that said he was a young global leader, but who knows? Maybe there is. Anyway, he talked today at the World Economic Forum, and he had some interesting stuff to say as well.
I propose putting an end to anonymity on social media. In our countries, no one can walk the streets with a mask on their face or drive a car without a license plate. No one can send packages without showing an ID or buy a hunting weapon without giving their name. And yet, we are allowing people to roam freely on social networks without linking their profiles to a real identity. this paving the way for misinformation, hate speech, and cyber harassment, because it is facilitating the use of bots and it is allowing people to act without being held accountable for their actions. Such an anomaly cannot continue. In a democracy, citizens have the right to privacy, not to anonymity or impunity, because with those two, social coexistence would be impossible. That is why I believe we must push forward the principle of pseudonymity as the functioning element of social media and force all these platforms to link every user account to an European digital identity wallet. This way, citizens could use nicknames if they want, but in the case of a crime, public authorities would be able to connect those nicknames to real people and hold them responsible. Because accountability is not an obstacle to freedom of speech. It is an essential complement to it.
I don't disagree with him, to be honest with you, when it comes to the anonymity thing. I mean, how many times have you seen an anonymous guy who or a woman who sabotages comments or groups or whatever, and you can never find them to report them because they're anonymous? On the other hand, a digital ID wallet? I don't think so, Pedro. One of the more amusing clips from the World Economic Forum today, Ezra Levant and Evie Umeni of Rebel News are there now, and they saw Larry Fink, who is the CEO of BlackRock, just walking down the street with his security guards earlier today, and they thought, hey, let's go see if we can ask Mr. Fink some questions, and here's how that turned out.
Mr. Fink, are you going to follow Donald Trump's plan and get rid of DEI and ESG in your companies? BlackRock really is the opposite of Donald Trump in so many ways. You're authoritarian, you're anti-populist, you're top-down. Are you going to change it all in light of the U.S. presidency? How is Donald Trump, have you talked to Donald Trump since he was elected? Is the World Economic Forum a counterpoint to Donald Trump? Why are you running away from simple questions? Just answer a question. Have you talked to President Trump yet? Why are your bodyguards pushing away journalists, Mr. Fink?
They're simple questions. Is it that hard to answer a question that you need bodyguards and to swerve through traffic? Is the next 4 years going to be bad for business with Donald Trump in charge? Is peace the last thing you want on this world?
Which makes more money for you, war in Ukraine or peace in Ukraine? Ezra Levant's my name, Mr. Fink.
Did you just take a photo of you?
Am I supposed to be scared? Is that a threat, Mr. Fink?
Are you used to bullying your way through life?
No.
Is that how you've lived your entire life without having... Look at this. Don't push back, mate. Don't push me, bro. Don't push me.
When was the last time you answered a question that you didn't know was coming? Why are you so unaccountable? Isn't that what you love about the World Economic Forum? You control everything.
Why do you think you deserve so much power? Avi Yemeni, should I be scared now?
All right, so what do you think of that? I mean, this guy is the CEO of the world's largest corporation. Well, they're financial planners. All they are really is investors. That's what BlackRock is. It's worth $11 trillion, but it's just an investment firm. That's it. Powerful one, but it's still just an investment firm. This guy's taking pictures of Avi, pictures of Ezra. Like, should they be worried? I mean, like, they were asking the question in jest, but should they be? With the facial technology recognition, are they going to shut down? I mean, this is $11 trillion. It's a powerful guy. And why doesn't he answer questions? I mean, don't you think that it would go a long way with many people who are very suspicious of Larry Fink and BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and the World Economic Forum and the Bilderbergers and the Trilateral Commission and the Club of Rome and all of that, to just stop and answer some questions in a friendly way. Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to keep walking, be silent? Same thing happened with the second in command of BlackRock the other day. Or is it they think that they're just so far above us that they don't have to answer to us? Could that be it? It's all very interesting. Speaking of rich guys, Jeff Bezos has, this is from Pink News, Jeff Bezos has erased LGBTQ plus rights, support, and equity for black people from the Amazon website. So it looks like Bezos is getting, or Bezos, whatever, is getting rid of DEI. On the first day, his first day back in office, President Donald Trump ended the use of governmental diversity, equity, and inclusion, hiring, and federal contracting, and Amazon has become the latest major corporation to scale back their equity programs. Scale back or get rid of. Statements pledging to commit to equity for black people and LGBTQ plus rights and any mention of transgender were removed from Amazon's website in December, the Washington Post reported. Amazon's website previously stated the company stood in solidarity with black employees and customers and supported legislation to combat misconduct and racial bias in policing efforts to protect and expand voting rights and initiatives that provide better health and education for black people. Well, I guess now everybody gets to be treated the same. Isn't that something? Oh, I want to throw this up. This is kind of funny. This was put up by National Telegraph guy. What's his name again? You guys know his name? National Telegraph, young guy. Clayton, no. Waypool? I forget his name now. I'll find it here. I want to give him some credit because he put this up on X and I laughed. Wyatt Claypool, that's his name. So he put this video of this Steve Boots guy up on his X today, and I went, who's this guy? Apparently, he is a far-left social media influencer, and he's also a public school teacher. And this is Steve Boots yesterday watching the Pierre Poilievre interview on CP24 when he talks about there's only two genders. Well, look at this response if you want a good laugh.
Unchangeable. You know, if elected as prime minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
How about non-binary? You absolute dope. Oh my. So we're just going to loudly announce that we don't even have a basic understanding.
Well, apparently you don't have a basic understanding, Steve, because even I know that non-binary is not a gender. Non-binary is not conforming to either gender. So you can pick whatever gender you want, or you can make one up on your own. There are 65 genders some days. Other days there's over 100, sometimes over 500. But non-binary is not a gender. So immediately, this guy is guilty of not knowing his own cause.
Two-spirit. Sure, yeah.
Me personally? I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as prime minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. And if you have any other...
So he is loudly announcing a lack of an even elementary school level understanding of that. He is loudly announcing that he does...
Elementary school understanding? Okay. Are elementary school kids supposed to understand all of this gender nonsense, Steve? Is that the way it is? Because they're just kids. They shouldn't be exposed to any of this stuff. But you are sitting there and saying elementary school knowledge of transgender?
Doesn't understand that non-binary people exist, that he doesn't understand that transgender people exist, that he doesn't understand that intersex exists. doesn't understand any of it. Ugh. Except for the pensions he wants to cut. I hate him so much. He wants to extend, or he wants to make retirement later. He wants to cut your pension.
Hasn't said either of those things.
Food, gas, and homes in safer hoods.
Again, the question was about passports.
That's the promise we need for Canadians. If Liberals want to talk about different labels.
The Liberals don't want to talk about it. Trump does. He banned their existence. What do you want here? You can't say, oh, well, the Liberals want to talk about gender. The Liberals didn't pass the law banning their existence. Jesus.
For gender that they want to put on passports in the United States, they can do that. I'm going to talk about the things that will bring home Canada's promise.
Okay.
He's just like, I don't want to talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Well,
that guy apparently has a following on social media. People actually want to hear what he has to say. And like I said, he's also a school teacher, I believe, in Regina. Steve Boots. Triggered. You couldn't have a conversation with that guy, could you? Could you? I mean, just to try and find common ground, just to sit down and say, all right, I will submit that there are people who think they're not a man or a woman, or think that they can be the opposite sex. But that doesn't really exist, right? Well, in their mind it exists, and if it exists in their mind, then it exists. No, Steve, that's not how it works. Their imagination is not of anybody's concern. Not mine, not yours. Not the public's, not the restroom sign that says men or women, not the passport that says male or female. Now, do we need to go along with their delusions just so they feel good about themselves? Nobody is denying their existence. I mean, I don't care, man. Go ahead. Fill your boots. Do whatever. You do you. Just don't jam it down my throat. And don't jam it down the kids' throats either. That's all we're asking. Go about your life and enjoy yourself. Just leave the kids alone. Hey, let's get ready to the basic elementary school understanding. You know, it's sad, part of the conversation with the LT, where he's talking about DEI. We're talking about Trump's removal of DEI and how that's rapidly unfolding in the United States. Up here in Canada, we're still having problems with elected representatives of the people who can't seem to voice their opinion. For example, this story comes from Cambridge Today. It's mind-boggling. Social media post lands Cambridge councillor in hot water. Now, I've seen this. I've seen this meme flying around social media for the last couple of days, and it's funny. Ward 6 councillor Adam Cooper's Facebook post regarding gender pronouns is not sitting well with many residents, prompting the city to respond. So let me see if I can you see that? Okay. Adam Cooper, that's the councillor. He says, dude, respect other opinions. Be better than your comment. And that's to this Eric Bolton guy who says, well, you can have your opinions, but you're making jokes about people you're supposed to represent in your district. Also this week, so many queer people feel scared and uneasy because of decisions south of the border. You're just adding to that. No, I stand by this. Be better. Then Adam says, I'll proudly represent reality, and those that support it. To each their own. Live as you wish, and I will support you, but I will not support those that wish to legislate others into forcefully supporting their own beliefs. Enjoy your night, Eric. This goes on and on and on. And so what does Cambridge Today do? Well, let's read on. Local business owner and board member for Grand River Pride, Eric Bolton, was quick to condemn the post, commenting blah, 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 blah. When reached by phone Thursday afternoon, Bolton stood by his condemnation. I see people post hate speech stuff, and it's annoying. It's not hate speech, dude, because you don't like it. It doesn't matter. I mean, did you not see Adam's response to you when he said, reality, I will not support those that wish to legislate others into forcefully supporting their own beliefs. It's a freedom post, and it's funny. He took my pronouns. I have to live in reality now. And they made this a story, and it's all one-sided. And why? Because the counselor in question here, Adam Cooper, didn't get back to Cambridge today in time before the printing presses rolled, or whatever they're doing now. Cutoff time for the story. And so you only hear from Eric Bolton. You don't hear from Adam Cooper. And maybe there was an hour-long window there where Adam had a chance to respond, but maybe he chose not to. Maybe it was they couldn't get a hold of him. Maybe he just thought, you know what, this is left-wing corporate media. Why would I want to make it worse? We stand with Adam Cooper. If you live in the Cambridge area and this does, in fact, blow up into something it shouldn't blow up into, you got to stand with Adam Cooper, my friends. Stand with Adam Cooper. A couple more things here. This one. From the Western Standard, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I missed this one. Records show the feds paid $369,000 to silence critics during COVID. And this is the woman, Karina Gould, who's running for the Liberal leadership, by the way, who was responsible for it. She's the government House leader. Access to information records show the Trudeau Liberals in 2019 launched a costly fact-checking program to counter coronavirus misinformation. And I will bet you that is the fact-checking program that is still on social media in Canada, at least on Facebook. I believe that's the case. When we get fact-checked, because I just fact-checked yesterday on Facebook, like for nothing. This post lacks context. What are you even, it was the Elon Musk one? And then you post pictures of left-wing Democrat politicians doing the same thing with the hand in the air? And all of a sudden, the post lacks context, not when it comes to Musk, but when it comes to Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and what's her name? Hillary Clinton. Oh, well, then it's lack of context. Interesting that. But I believe the fact checkers who are getting checked by in Canada right now are part of the government. They're being paid by the federal government with our money. Records obtained by Blacklock's reporters show then Democratic Institutions Minister Karina Gould paid researchers nearly $370,000 to discourage media and the public from questioning authority. Researchers stressed the importance of invoking Canadian values to avoid being seen as liberal partisans. I'll say that again. Researchers stressed the importance of invoking Canadian values, whatever they define them as, I suppose, to avoid being seen as liberal partisans. We encouraged Canadians not just to double check and respond to misinformation and disinformation, again, whatever they think it is, I suppose, but to actively spread relevant information they knew was reliable, such as public health messaging. Media Smarts of Ottawa, the federal contractor, was paid almost $370,000 for the project called Critical Thinking in the Digital Age, Countering Coronavirus Misinformation, which we know was all BS. What else do I have here for you? This one I think is pretty important. We're going to go to the extension in just a second for all access members at shadowdavis.com. This story comes from the Democracy Fund. This person here you see in the photo is a school trustee, I believe in Red Deer, Alberta. TDF, that's the Democracy Fund, and James Kitchen appeal Monique Lagrange decision to the Alberta Court of Appeal. So let's go ahead and read this. The Democracy Fund with James Kitchen, the lawyer, will appeal a recent Alberta court decision involving school trustee Monique Lagrange. The same thing happened to different school trustees and now city councilors and town councilors all across the country. So this could be a pretty important case coming up. Mrs. Lagrange was a trustee of the Red Deer Catholic School Board until the board disqualified her as a result of memes she posted and media interviews she gave, of which a majority of the trustees disapproved. Mr. Kitchen has now filed his notices of appeal with the Alberta Court of Appeal, which can be read, blah, blah, blah. In 2023, Mrs. LaGrange shared a meme on her personal Facebook account outlining her concerns about the increasing indoctrination of students into queer theory and transgender ideology. The meme featured two side-by-side images, one of young children holding swastika flags and the other of young children holding Pride Progress flags, accompanied by the caption, "Brainwashing is brainwashing. Hear, hear." The post garnered support, but also criticism, especially from teachers and other school trustees. One of the trustees submitted a complaint alleging that by posting this meme, Mrs. LaGrange had violated many sections of the new trustee code of conduct. It's that code of conduct thing again. Following a hearing in September of 2023, a majority of the Board of Trustees determined Mrs. LaGrange had breached the code of conduct. The board imposed several sanctions, including she cease making any public statements in areas touching upon or relating to LGBT, blah, 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 issue an apology and complete sensitivity training at her own expense. So she's got to go through a struggle session in order to retain her job as an elected official, elected by the people of her district. This is unbelievable. This kind of crap is allowed to happen, but it continues to happen. Look at Lisa Robinson, right? Mrs. LaGrange refused to issue an apology and maintained her actions were consistent with her commitment to protecting children, stating, "I was elected to stand up and protect our children, and that is what I'm doing." Shortly thereafter, another trustee submitted a complaint about Mrs. LaGrange, alleging that she had again violated the code of conduct and also breached the sanctions by posting another meme and doing 2 media interviews. The meme was a popular one depicting a wolf with colorful makeup with the caption, "I just want to read some books to your chickens." After a second hearing, a majority of the trustees again determined Mrs. LaGrange had breached the code of conduct and the sanction regarding public comments. The board that, so you can't disagree with them. Do you see? The lawyer for Mrs. LaGrange, James Kitchen, says this case is a first of its kind. Never before has an Alberta Board of School Trustee kicked another trustee off the board for what effectively amounts to a disagreement regarding expressed political and religious beliefs. So they're going to fight it. I wish them all the best. And we're going to leave you tonight, at least the social media part of the show, we're going to leave you tonight with something funny. I'm not sure when this is from. This was posted all over X today, and I laughed. Maybe it's from today. Maybe it's from yesterday. I don't know. I don't know if this is from when Chrystia Freeland was the finance minister and deputy prime minister, or if it's from yesterday as she's running for the Liberal leadership. Either way, and it's in French, but it doesn't matter. Watch this. Watch her reaction to all of the reporters asking questions at the same time.
You think the party establishment...
Sur le gain au capital, pourquoi vous faites marche arrière sur le gain au capital? Attendez, sur le gain au capital, pourquoi vous faites marche arrière?
C'est difficile d'entendre parce que tout le monde crie. OK, alors...
Sur le gain capital, pourquoi vous faites marche arrière?
Je comprends. Et j'ai compris.
We got to watch that again. Watch her hands. Like that's the person that can handle the top job, right? Seriously?
Priorité.
You think the party establishment... Pourquoi vous faites marche arrière? Sur le gain au capital, pourquoi vous faites marche arrière sur le gain au capital? Attendez, sur le gain au capital...
Is that right there? She looks like she's about to hyperventilate. Pass out. Unreal.
Okay, c'est difficile d'entendre parce que tout le monde crie. OK, alors...
Sur le gain capital, pourquoi vous faites marche arrière?
Je comprends. Et j'ai compris.
And you want to be my latex salesman. Tonight on The Extension. Now, there's a lot of people who point fingers at me and say, Shadow, you don't know squat. You don't know what you're talking about. And I say, what do you mean? And they say, well, you don't know that Trump is actually a Jesuit. And his family tree is laced with them. And I say, oh, you think I don't know that? You do? Well, why don't you talk about it? Say, because there are other things, other angles to look at all of this from. And I look at them all, or try to. Like, we had the LT on tonight. LT believes that freedom, let freedom ring. Freedom has been restored and will continue to be restored in all 50 states, maybe 51, if Trump has his way, by the end of this term. There's some people who really heartily believe in that, man. But then you got people like Whitney Webb and this guy that we're going to play for you tonight on the extension. This video, this guy goes back 15 years. And he's one of these guys sitting in his basement going, rah, 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 Alex Jones is one of them, right? And he's not just a guy spouting wild accusations and conspiracy theories. He's done his research, and he put it online. 15 years ago. I wonder if this guy's still around. This reminds me of that movie with Mel Gibson, Conspiracy Theory, where he was right the whole time. Wasn't Captain Picard in that one too? Anyway, this guy, and I'm going to, tough to even know his name. But the video is something else. So I promised the members last night that we would play this tonight. So that's what we're going to do on the extension. Don't forget to like and share, you guys. Get this out there to as many people as you possibly can. It's important this information gets out there so people can absorb it and disseminate it for themselves. And at the very least, if they're hearing all this stuff for the first time and they see some rational, sane stuff, they might decide they want to explore further themselves because it doesn't come at them like some crazy conspiracy theorist. You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So get this out there, guys. Like and share to as many people as you possibly can on Facebook, on X, on Rumble, on YouTube, whatever. And don't forget to follow the show on Rumble and YouTube. And whatever platforms you're not following it on, go and follow it on. And become an all-access member at shadowdavis.com. All right, tomorrow night there is no show. I explained to you guys earlier this week, it was on Monday night, that a very close friend of mine died of a heart attack last Friday, and I've been reeling ever since then. It's gotten better. It's gotten better. This person was like a younger sister to me, and it's very difficult to take this news. Also considering the fact that she and I had a falling out regarding our opinions in the past couple of years. 53 years old, woman, massive heart attack, dies almost instantly. Relatively healthy, was not a drug user, drank a little bit like average person does, smoked cigarettes, yes, but I mean, not 8 packs a day, not even a pack a day. I don't think. Wasn't on any sort of prescription drugs. I mean, stress? Sure. She's got 2 young kids. But then when you see some of the statistics that are coming out, even still now, about increased risk of death after you know what, you put 2 and 2 together quite easily. And I'm very upset that she's gone. I'm taking tomorrow off, going to go off to a friend's cottage in the bush and hang out for a long weekend. I'll be back on Monday night. Unless the world splits in 2, unless they make the world split in 2 using HARP or whatever, I'll be back on Monday night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. I love you guys, and I appreciate your support very much, and I will talk to you soon. Don't forget to like and share. Bye for now. All access. I will see you in 2 minutes.